All right, we're live. We're live from War Zone Central here. All right, so we're just getting the 8 o'clock news over here. It's a little bit before 8. It starts, but if you are not here, if you're not in Jerusalem, then you probably woke up to the frantic news of that there is an attack imminent, and the all of the embassies are being evacuated here and there. That you've got the Iraq, all the U.S. embassies in Iraq and certain areas of the Middle East are being evacuated, and then even today, later today, we got the U.S. embassy employees in Israel were told to stay near their cities. They were told to stick to the major cities, and that's the same kind of warning that came out before the previous Iranian attack. Now, of course, we're not ready for an Iranian attack. It'll be first probably an Israeli attack. Here you go, a little glimpse at the news. This is Channel 11 here in Israel, the public broadcaster. Trump, Israel is ready to attack Iran. Although he just said something else a few minutes ago. So we'll get to that. What do you say?
Well, I wouldn't say that. It looks like it's something that could very well happen. Look, it's very simple, not complicated. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Other than that, I want them to be successful. I want them to be tremendous. We'll help them be successful. We'll trade with them. We'll do
all right.
necessary.
All right. So here's the big question. As she just said, we're going to try to make a little sense of it all right now. So the question that everybody is asking right now, especially like if you just woke up over in the US and suddenly you went from riots to, wait a second, is there about to be World War III in the Middle East? That this has been sort of building up for a couple of weeks, if not but especially more intensely in the last couple of days, where everybody here is more closely following the nuclear talks between the U.S. and Iran that have been going on, like in Rome and I think in Oman as well. I think Oman, I'm not anyway, where they've been having negotiations, and Trump, of course, wants to get to a deal, and it hasn't happened yet. There have been like 5 or 6 sessions of direct negotiation. Well, actually, I'm not sure they're direct, but of negotiations, and so anyway, so that hasn't happened yet. So suddenly, there's been this scramble of activity in the here, like in the news, with headlines of what's Israel has said several times that it's ready, we're ready for an attack. And then there was even a call between Trump and Netanyahu in which apparently Trump said, no, back down, we don't want, we're going to try to make a deal, we don't want Israel to attack. But in the last couple days, it sort of went down like this. It seemed there was a little bit of breaking down in the negotiation, and then Israel. There was a conversation yesterday between Trump and Netanyahu, and where Netanyahu said, "Hey, we're ready. And so from that little announcement, everything sort of blew up, no pun intended. And so then you have, just in the last several hours, a little bit less than 24 hours, this massive escalation, where you've got the American embassies being evacuated, and other American government and military personnel being told to evacuate. It was mandatory. Now, let me see what Trump's saying. Hey, Daniel, keep it down.
They're going to have to give us some things that they're not willing to give us right now. I'm the last person. I've kept us out of wars. It's peace to a strength. I believe in peace to a strength.
All right. So I don't know when exactly this speech from Trump is. If it's
Life looks like it's something that could very well happen.
so, he's saying it looks like an attack is something that could very well happen.
Iran cannot have a nuclear
Iran
weapon.
can't have a nuclear weapon.
כן, תכף ננסה להבין מה בדיוק טראמפ אומר, זאת אומרת, לאן ארצות הברית תלך בעקבות הדברים האלה.
All right, so now there's also right now the Israeli cabinet has just they just have called an Israeli cabinet meeting. So there's let's go back. Let me go back to the order of events. So in fact, even today, people were saying like it looks like it's all about to explode in the next hour, like in the coming hour or so, whatever. And the question is though, is this kind of tension and raising the escalation and stuff like that? Is this just Trump's way of bringing Iran back to the table and getting a deal? I mean, that's actually what a lot of people are thinking. And then the other half are also, preparing their bomb shelter. So it's like one or the other. So, I mean, it's pretty dramatic to evacuate your governmental staff in other countries. I mean, that's not no small undertaking. So if that's happening, that sends a very clear message. And then, of course, these days, as we've been observing war here, like how it's played out in the media before it actually gets played out in the battleground. And this is what we've seen in the last year and a half. So this would be something else. Like obviously, no surprise there if this is all leading to an actual attack. Now, of course, Israel or Netanyahu has been wanting to attack. It's been his stated goal for years, for most of his tenure, that you need to take out Iran. So he has been more than willing, and it was Trump that told him to back down. And now it looks like, it looked like in the last couple of days that Trump just gave him the green light. But again, is that just to panic Iran and get them back to the negotiating table? Okay, so let me read you a couple quotes and what's going on. And my gosh, hi Rivka. Rivka just said, wow, I didn't know. I stopped listening to the news because when I do, I can't sleep. Yeah, that's funny, but don't worry. I think you can still sleep tonight because I think we're going to be okay. There's a spoiler alert here. But anyway, all right, so in the meantime, Iran has decided to have a military exercise. So now I'm going to get to that. All right, so the quotes from Iranian government military personnel, let's see, the president Masoud Pezeshkian addressed tensions in the Middle East and said it is all psychological warfare aimed at influencing the nuclear negotiations between Tehran and Washington that will take place on Sunday. So he's not canceling them, all right. So then let's see, Hussein Salami, commander of the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. He said the enemies threaten us with war, but we are prepared for any scenario. That actually sounds like from the Psalms, my enemies threaten me with war, but I am prepared for any scenario. Okay. And then he says, we warn the enemy not to make a foolish mistake. He should consider the consequences. Let's see. Another quote from the President Pezeshkian. He said, our people stand firm, militant, and we will not allow anyone to attack any part of their land. We are not afraid of threats. We are strong. We have several choices. Okay, then the foreign minister. Sunday's nuclear talks in Oman became much more complicated after, and now I'm going to get to the second part, the announcement by the Board of Governors of the International Atomic Energy Agency, which is a branch of the United Nations. Okay, so what exactly did the IAEA say? Oh, wait, hold on.
But this duck is a nuclear duck.
This is from 2010. this is 15 years ago where Netanyahu was talking about Iran and the military program. Daniel, I know you see there's no atmosphere of war here. Everybody's happy and everything. So anyway, hi Marcia, thank you very much. Good to be back. You know, we traveled, by the way. We're out of the country. My parents are here in town, and we went to Crete. I should have done a live from there, but the internet was horrible. So, all right. So let me get back to the IAEA, which is the International Atomic Energy Agency. So they've been checking. They go in and check Iran. Wait, I've got to find exactly where. Yes, so they put out a report today, that official report that said Iran is violating its nuclear commitments for the first time in 20 years. So, you know, they have been on the cusp of being able to enrich a nuclear weapon with uranium for, well, I mean, I think at least 2 or 3 years, because we used to have a joke in the newsroom that I worked in. We actually had a joke where we would say, like, you know, any day now, you know, 2 months from now, any day now, 1 month from now. We kept doing like the countdown, like, because they kept having a countdown, like Iran is 6 months from being able to enrich a weapon, and then it was like 4 months and 3 months, 2 months, 1 month, and then it was like, and so we've been stuck on like 2 weeks for like a year and a half now, that Iran has been able to enrich a weapon for like it would only take them 2 weeks to do so, and that's been for months. So anyway, but now the IAEA says they're violating their commitments, and so let's see. Iran's response to that was that they announced a new enrichment center. Let me see. They said that nobody will tell them what to do. This is not the exact quote. They said nobody will tell us what to do, but instead we will open a new secure location and continue doing what we are going to do. So that was their response. And so the exact quote from the IAEA was, by failing to cooperate with the inspectors of its nuclear program, Iran is violating its obligations. And in response to that, Iran announced, we will replace first generation centrifuges at Fordo with 6th generation centrifuges. So, they're ready. Now, the other thing, where is my notes about the military exercise that they just started. So, a military exercise is a pre-planned event, carried out, by military forces for training, for preparing for real operational scenarios, and simulates real situations that could occur. So what's happening now is that it's across the board. Okay, sorry. The headline. Breaking news. The Home Front Command announces there are no changes in the security situation for the public. No changes in the security requirements for the public. Thank you. Thank you for beeping like that, for breaking news. Why is having a military exercise at such a time as this very sensitive and gets everybody's attention? Because in 1 second it can become real and go from exercise to actual operation. So right now they're operating under the orders that it's only an exercise, but if in a second it becomes reality, then they're there and ready. They're not caught, with their pants down, so to speak. So yeah, same thing, same breaking news, same nothing. Okay, so anyway, of course, I just saw your quote, Roy. Instead of the atomic energy, AEA. Oh my gosh, AEA. Wow, AEA. Oh my gosh, wait, Atomic Energy Agent, IAEA. Thank you. IAEA, Roy writes EIEIO. All right. Anyway, good to see you guys, and hello to Walter as well. Yeah, so anyway, there was a lot of flurry of activity today. Now, like literally a couple of minutes before I decided to go live, Trump again reiterated, Trump, it seems like kind of like backed off on this whole idea of going to war. And he said, I still believe in a deal. I always believe that, I believe in peace and I believe in a deal. So it looks like he might be um, trying to calm the situation after having evacuated all of his people in Iraq, if not in other places. And in Israel, there's also the, what do you call it, the orders for the people from the embassy. But I have to say that the State Department people are frequently under very stringent orders about like not going to the old city if there's just a slight disturbance, or not going to the West Bank and things like that. So like you can't really go by them for like, they're extra cautious. So, so anyway, so you can't always go by them for an accurate read on what will happen. These guys, that's the Houthis. I can tell by the that's their banner over there on the left, in the upper left. And the Houthis, by the way, so how long have you been here?
3 weeks.
Say hi. This is my parents. So at least I have an audience here. If not online, it's great. Thank God, right? And here. And here, another audience. Okay, so you've been here 3 weeks, and in that amount of time, including the 6 days you were out of the country, how many sirens have you had?
Including those, I'd say.
No, not including the ones that we missed.
Not including.
Because there were like
One,
three
two,
while we were gone.
4, maybe 5.
About 5 sirens. And we're in Jerusalem. We don't get sirens very frequently. However, we have gotten many it was like 3 weeks ago. That week, there were a bunch of missiles launched from Yemen by the Houthis, and that's like 2,000 kilometers south of here. So that was crazy. I mean, that was a lot. That was a very big quantity for us. And so, wow, this is a story I want to talk about as well. Unbelievable what's happening in Gaza right now. But so that's pretty significant to have all of these. And then we went to Crete, and we were gone for like 6 days, 5 nights, and I had seen like rocket alerts, like even the day we left, and they for the Jewish holiday Shavuot, there was one right before. And then when we landed back in Israel, got our luggage, and we got out of the airport, all 7 of us out of the airport, and everybody's like, oh, there's going to be sirens. There's going to be sirens, because you get this pre-alert. And we were like, oh my God, do we lose our place on this line for the bus, or do we go back in? And we literally stood there for a while, and a lot of people stood there and didn't move, because everybody's thinking about their place online to get the bus, to go to the parking lot, to get your car. And finally, it was just like, for the children. And so we went back in, and had to stay in the airport for the 10, 15 minutes, and then finally came out, whatever. So welcome back, right? Now, there were not any during the Eid, the Muslim Eid. There was the first day of the Eid, or right before, because it was Eid al-Adha. There was one missile, and then we had about 5 days of nothing. And then my daughter says to me, she goes, oh, I know why they didn't launch. It's the Eid. They're celebrating. Eid is like holiday. She says they're celebrating. They don't have time to launch missiles. And I was like, sure enough, that night when it was over, sirens. I was like, oh my gosh, she was right. They probably took the holiday off. So anyway, but since then, which has been a couple days now, 3 or 4 days, nothing. So what does that mean? I don't know. Does it mean they chilled? I don't know. I have no idea. Anyway, all right. So let's see. So the main question, like for instance, today I had several people messaging me um, from the U.S. Who either have, well, my sister, for instance, works with groups that come, but also somebody else who's coming. He's a coach for the Maccabia. I don't even know. I still don't know how to say that name. The Maccabia games that are like the Jewish Olympics. It's like that brings Jewish athletes from around the world, and they have a tournament here in Israel. And so he's a coach for the basketball team, U.S. basketball team, and wanted to know. Oh my gosh, is my flight in 2 weeks going to be canceled? What's happening? Same with other people who have trips or whatever, what's happening? And then, it also affects our decisions to travel because most airlines, like for instance, I just saw Ryanair canceled through the end of August. There's another airline, I forgot, like I think EasyJet's not back. And these are just the budget airlines, but let alone like the big ones, the Americans. I don't know, has Delta come back or not?
I'm not sure. Somebody said that they did fly,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure if they're still flying. I mean, Delta's flaky.
They're all flaky when it comes to Israel, because every time there is a missile, they also shut down the airspace around the airport. So it really does affect a lot of people's travel. So, oh, Walter, that's right. You're supposed to be here late August, right? So, and Emily confirms that Delta and United are both back. Let's hope it sticks, right? So I was going to say, like for us, it also affects that we don't necessarily want to book an airline. Like if we find the best deal is on Delta, or like we found one on an Italian airline, but they could cancel, and you never know what's going to happen. You can no longer trust the fact that things are stable, because they don't stay stable for long. Wiz, yeah, Wiz is back. Wiz has been one of the budget airlines that has stayed, but I think so. Maybe it's Wiz I'm thinking about, not EasyJet, but the other one, Ryan. Not only did they say they're not coming back till August, the CEO is toying with never coming back to Israel. Yeah, because it's problematic. Like you can't plan ahead. I agree. Okay, so we don't yet know if flights are going to be canceled, if people are going to freak out. So far today, I haven't seen anything like that in the news, which is a miracle considering everybody is asking me what's happening. And I'm like, wow, it's big out there, because, it's been building up here for a little while. But once it gets like outside of our news cycle into your news cycle, then in danger of canceling. Check out the sunset. How's that? That's pretty nice, right? So, okay, so now briefly we'll just turn to some other issues, no less dramatic. Like, for instance, here's a non-dramatic headline for you. The government, Daniel, shh, the government did not collapse. Okay, did you even know it was about to? I mean, because half of the country was actually, waiting for it. Like, by the way, Daniel's playing music from Crete. Like, this is the shows that the nightly show that they have, but he's actually playing the one from last year, not this year. Anyway, so the government was about to collapse over, guess what? Mandatory conscription for the ultra orthodox into the Israeli military, because up till now they have not been required like other Israelis. Let me move so you guys can enjoy that. They haven't been required like other Israelis to do their mandatory service, even though it is mandatory. They get reprieve from that. They get they are able to say, oh, we're going to be in a yeshiva instead and study and whatever. So the government right now, the coalition, the ruling coalition, is comprised of two ultra-Orthodox parties, without which Netanyahu would not have a majority coalition, meaning he would not be the prime minister. Like, the government would collapse, and then they would have to have new elections, and the whole thing is like up for grabs again. So So there was a whole, I like to say, a game being played, even with these guys bargaining for, they were, this vote was coming up, or on a bill that was going to give them a reprieve from the military. And one of Netanyahu's party members said, "You don't get a reprieve. You should not get a reprieve because Netanyahu's party, the Likud, they serve in the military, and so they said you don't get a reprieve, and they put forward a vote to dissolve the Knesset, or the opposition put forth the vote. Anyway, in the end, it didn't go. It didn't pass. They came to, by the way, take note that exactly what is happening by putting this pressure on Iran. Look, we're ready to attack you, where we've cleared out the Middle East and Israel's ready, and they're going to fly their jets over and bomb your nuclear sites and whatever. And that is with the intention of getting Iran to back down. It was the same thing happened here. The ultra Orthodox party said, if you make us serve, we're going to pull out of your coalition and your government's going to collapse and you can't survive. And then what happened? Deals went through, and so it's like, you know what, we'll vote with you guys, no problem. They relaxed the requirements for them to serve in the military. The whole coalition was like, okay, and then that was it. So it's the same deal making, whether it's regional war, or if it's bills in parliament. So it's crazy. Okay, so that didn't happen. So, oh well, there's a missed headline, kind of like this. There are no changes to the home front command requirements, and then it's like, and there's no change to the government either. It stands. It's the same. So anyway, we carry on. And for the Israelis that do serve right now, it is such a disaster for the military, that they keep calling up reserves over and over again. The same men to serve. There's the regular military, but on top of that, they need reservists, because I'll get to what's happening in Gaza, which is an expanded war. So they constantly need people, but it is also draining people, families, and the economy, because these are men who work or own businesses, and they can't either provide for their families, or they're losing their businesses and can't provide for their families. And so it's draining very specific sector of the nation. And so I forgot the number, something like 4,000 extra troops. I don't remember whether it was that the military chief said we need like 4,000 more troops. Maybe it was more than that. 4,000 sounds pretty low, but in any case, so now getting to Gaza, still a war going on. Still Israel, with several military operations on a regular basis, that now they have taken over, I guess I would say, like, looking at the map, maybe 25% of Gaza is under Israeli control. It doesn't mean it's that 25% is completely, let's say, clear. There's still tunnels, but what we have seen in the last couple of weeks is the ability, because of this, their presence on the ground, they have retrieved many more bodies of hostages from Gaza, including yesterday 2 more bodies. The one name hasn't been released yet, and the other is Yair Igal, I think is his last name, who was killed on October 7th. And his body taken along with the rest of his family to Gaza. The rest of the family was released. It was his partner and 2 children. And really, the son, 13 years old, I think, posted today on social media that, how ironic, I've been waiting for this day to be able to bury you. Just to give you a perspective of how, like, waiting, that your father is dead, but now you're fighting just to be able to get his body back and bury him. So anyway, so so that's going on, as with the military. Now, in other very important news, it's the humanitarian aid. Now, what's happened is most of the usual aid organizations have either been shut down, moved out, whatever. There's this new organization that is taking over. It's an American owned. I mean, sometimes it's referred to as a company. It's called Gaza Humanitarian Fund, GHF, and they are going in, like being sent in by the Israeli military, or being allowed in. They have distribution points. People are supposed to come and get their aid boxes and go. But there has been a lot of controversy, contention, conflict surrounding these sites. And yesterday, GHF said that Hamas attacked their convoy and killed 8 people who were there to deliver aid. So this is not even a conflict with the military, but with civilians. They said yesterday a bus carrying over 20 staff members of the Gaza Humanitarian Relief Fund, local Palestinians who work side by side with our American team to provide vital aid, was brutally attacked. And so at the time, they said at least 5 had been killed, but now the number is 8, and fears that several have been kidnapped. I haven't heard an update on that. So that's in Tel Aviv. There's a protest against the government. It's like a daily occurrence here. They say the attack did not happen by accident. In recent days, Hamas has openly threatened our staff, aid workers, and the civilians we help. And there was word that in the beginning that Hamas threatened people, said, do not get aid from them. Like they didn't want this to work. Now, separately, Israel has been arming a local clan, organization, militia, don't know exactly, gang, Abu Shabab. And it's like a powerful family, like in the tribal sense, in Gaza, and kind of hedging their bets on them that they'll be a good alternative to having to Hamas, and will be able to, for instance, instead of the U.S. military, the Israeli military, to go head to head at the aid sites, if they have local Palestinians guarding their own aid site, will that work better? So anyway, it sounds reminiscent of operations the U.S. has done, like Taliban, arming terrorist groups, essentially. I don't know if it's going to have the same outcome, but so this is what has happened in the past.
Yeah.
So that's the man who was kidnapped. His body was kidnapped. I don't know how, but he was killed before they took him, and then they took his body. And then, let's see what he says. This is not how I dreamed you'd come back. You had a big heart. He loved the land of the ground of our country, the fields, the nature, the small things. And so this is his family that was released in November 2023. This is footage of on October 7th, so I don't know how he died. I didn't hear that part. That's her. And she said, at least I was able to tell him I love him. So, right. So she's in the last week, they rescued 5 bodies. And oh, hey, Gabriel, good to see you. My parents are here too, by the way. So they were able to get 5 bodies. So that brings the number to 53 hostages. I met this guy. of which 20 to 22 are believed to still be alive or hope to still be alive. And the rest are confirmed dead, whether through, they knew from October 7th or, so somehow they've been able to confirm that. So that's still ongoing. And it's still really disastrous. Just the few things I can tell you from the Palestinian angle is that, I've asked people, like I have a friend who has family in Gaza City, and I was like, why don't they get out? I'm like, why don't they get out? Trump offered, get out. Netanyahu said, get out, go. We'll help you to leave. And she goes, tell me, where are they going to go? Like, I don't know. Like, I guess, what a good question. Like, let's say you open the doors of Gaza and you say, go. Where can you actually go? Do you have a passport? Do you have a visa? Will any country accept you? No country has yet agreed to take people en masse. And then I said, well, since your family, like, and her family also, they live in Bethlehem and Jerusalem, I said, can they come here? And she said, no, they can't come here. They can't come to the Gazans are not going to be relocated to the West Bank. Like, the Palestinians here in Gaza will not be able to be united with the Palestinians here. They won't let them. So she goes, where are they going to go? They have nowhere to go. And where in the world do you choose to go? Like, this has been your home. They're all elderly. Where do they go? Do they go to Switzerland? Does that make sense? What are they going to do there? They have to start their lives over again. They will have no rights, no money, no job. They have nothing. What are they going to go? And how are they going to furnish their apartment? Like, where? So there is no plan to get people out. And then I asked somebody else, what about getting people? Yeah, it was a cab driver. And he said he had family in Gaza. And I said, well, what about them leaving? And he said, do you know how much it costs for them to leave? Do you know how much you have to pay? And then, speaking of that, I read about this group, this Abu Shabab. They have family as well in Egypt, in the Sinai. And they were saying, like, I read that I haven't confirmed this, but like, one of them is like this, this businessman who has made like hundreds of thousands of dollars on charging people to get out of Gaza. Like, it was like $5,000 per person that, they have to pay, like, fixers, like, for safe transport to get me, and to get documentation, whatever. And so this guy made a lot of money that way. So anyway, you have to have a lot of money and you have to have a place to go. And many people have neither, because they have only ever, generations may have been born and raised in a place and never have left it. So they've got no connections outside. So anyway, it's a real conundrum. Israel's not getting out anytime soon of Gaza. There is no deal in the works at the moment to release any hostages. There's always ups and downs, but there's not even a little whisper about it at the moment. So as far as we know, this is going to go on. And now, of course, we're either looking at LA or Tehran. So nobody knows, right? So, okay. So somebody here, Jay, is asking how I am in Israel and have an English accent. This is a New York accent, I think. But how I landed in Israel is a crazy and long story. And I should record that one day and tell it, or refer to a podcast I did where I talked about that. But I don't have it right now. Anyway, but it's a good question. I'd love to answer, but I'm probably not going to do it now because I think I'm done. All right. Yeah, I can tell, like, the other half of the house is getting a little anxious because they feel like they can't come out and interrupt. So I'm gonna stop so everybody can feel free to come out and have the living room back. But anyway, tune in for next time when maybe I will tell my story of how I landed in Jerusalem from New York. Or I'll tell you whether or not Israel blew up Tehran, and whether or not we're waiting for the retaliation, which would mean flights would be canceled. you know, the ongoing cycle of the last almost 2 years of our lives. Too bad we don't have any sirens for you right now. But anyway, I'm going to go. Oh, Craig. Oh my gosh. Hi, Craig. Craig, look.
Say hi,
Hi,
Craig.
Craig.
You say hi to Craig.
Hi.
Awesome, awesome. You meant American. Okay, that's funny. Okay, cool. Well, anyway, thank you all for joining, and stay tuned. I would really appreciate if you subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on the YouTube channel, if you subscribe, you'll get notifications to when I do lives, and that would be great. So anyway, awesome. Thank you very much, and have a good day, night, wherever you are.